I don't think mobility gets enough credit in the recovery options for athletes, specifically triathletes in my world. I think that mobility sometimes gets confused with flexibility, and I want to show today in this video how we use mobility as recovery. I don't like the term rest day, because I think some athletes get crazy on rest days thinking like I should be doing something. So this is the something you could be doing to give love to the joints that take such good care of you. And mobility often gets confused with flexibility because I think there's some confusion on the goal of each. Flexibility is to try to get elasticity or length through the muscles, whereas mobility is to try to get range of motion at the joint. And so what we're going to do during this workout is take you through a series of positions, and we're going to try to get a little deeper or a little more mobility or more range of motion with each rep. We're going to do each one 3 to 5 times. Depending on your time, you may not have time for a full 5 reps on each side, but so today we're going to take you between 3 and 5 depending on how everybody's feeling. So I've got a couple tools that we're going to be using, and if you don't have them, it's not a big deal. You can replace them with anything. So I have a PVC pipe, which you can buy for about $1 at any of your local home stores or home improvement stores, or a towel works just fine. I have a bench. This is a box, or you can use your stairs or anything that you have at home. So that's pretty much all we're going to need for this workout. And again, remember, the goal is going to be range of motion. So trying to get a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper with each rep. So the first one we're going to take you through is a hamstring stretch with trunk rotation. So I'm going to put my right leg up on the box. Again, you can use your step. So maybe you're on the first, second, or third step in your home, just depending on how much tension you want to tolerate. But again, my goal is range of motion. What I'm going to do is with my right leg up, I'm going to take my left hand and reach for the outside from my pinky toe. And then I'm going to open it up and get full rotation through my thoracic spine, my trunk, my hips, all of this. I'm going to do it again, a second rep, a little bit farther this time, reaching towards my toes, and then rotating open. You want to make sure as you're rotating open that you're not letting your hip rotate, that you're trying to keep your hip pretty still so that you're really getting that mobility and movement through the trunk as well as through your hip and spine. I sometimes will feel it in my inner thigh as I'm doing that reach and when I open up there. So this is number 4. And then last one. Good. So by the time I got through my 5th one there, I could reach a little bit deeper. Let's switch sides. Same thing. So my left leg is going to come up. My right hand is going to reach for the outside. Oh, a little tighter on this side. Reach for the outside of those toes. And then I'm going to turn and open up, making sure, again, I'm not twisting through my hip or rotating, but that I'm staying very stable through here and just isolating that rotation through my trunk. I'm going to reach again, number 2. And then 3. And I can get a little deeper. It doesn't quite pull so bad. Good. And then that last one, reach again. And again, the difference between flexibility and mobility is that I'm not sitting and holding the stretch. Yes, that feels really good, but the goal of this movement is not to get necessarily a hamstring stretch, but to get that motion through my hip, my thoracic spine, through all of that. The next one we're going to do is still using the bench here. This is where I'll grab my PVC pipe. So I like PVC pipe because I have a lot of them around the clinic, but they're cheap and they seem to give me a little bit more range of motion through my shoulders. So what you're going to do is take the bench or chair that you've been using for that last exercise and sit on the corner of it. And you're going to keep your knees and your feet together. That's the key to this. Some people will put a ball between their knees, but if you don't have one, you can just work on really keeping those knees together. You're going to take your towel or your PVC pipe or even like a broomstick or dowel rod, and you're going to put it behind your shoulders, and you're going to rotate to the right as far as you can, and then to the left. Now, the key to this is that you don't let your knees or your feet come apart. You have to keep them together. This is technically a stretch that I use with my golfers, but I think it applies to any athlete that moves their arms overhead. So whether you're a swimmer or a gymnast or a football player, whatever it is, anytime you're using your arms over your head, you need this one. So you're just going to, again, rotate as far as you can without opening those knees or feet, and then to the other side. So this is rep number 2. We're going to go for 5 of these. If you don't have time to do 5, you just do 3. That's fine. And my arms can either rest on the bar or grasp the bar or towel. It doesn't matter. We're just going to do 2 more, and I can definitely feel the difference between my right and left side. That I feel tighter in trunk rotation when I'm going to the left, but my right shoulder has been one that's bothering me lately. So I can definitely feel that there's some asymmetry, and it just doesn't feel quite right on either side, actually. So this is probably good that I do this.
Let's move to the hip and get some squatting. So I want you to do a test squat. Drop down into a squat as deep as you can go and just see how that feels. Next, then, we're going to move our back up against the wall, you're using the wall for support. And what you're going to do is get down into that deep squat again, but your butt is resting against the wall, which allows you to get a little bit deeper. And you're just going to use your elbow, put those elbows inside your knees, and push one elbow out, taking the knee with it. So I'll push my left elbow into my left knee, and then my right elbow into my right knee. You can use a box if you have a box or chair, if you don't have a wall that you can use. So you can hold on to the box for a little bit of support, or you could even put the box in front of you. But what you're going to do is work down into that squat, so either at the box or stairs or something to hold on to, or with your butt up against that wall. And you're just going to come into that position, holding it, working those hips, moving them out to the side and back, and going a little bit deeper into that squat, then moving your elbows again to push those knees out back and forth, and then go a little deeper into the squat. So as you come up, kind of shake your legs out, and then you go back down into that test squat and see if it feels a little bit better. You might notice you can go deeper, but that's really the best position, is just to keep working there. While we're already down on the ground, we can work on the inner part of our hip. So the medial aspect of the joint, or your hip adductors attach into this, so that inside part. And we're going to do the butterfly stretch. So you can do it in sitting or laying down. We'll start in sitting. Bring those feet together in front of you and just gently move forward. You're trying to bend over that waist, keeping a nice straight line through your spine, but hinging at the waist and coming forward over those toes and trying to go a little farther and a little farther with each rep. And then trying to push those knees down, keeping those knees from coming up. You may have a hard time keeping them down, and that's fine, but work on trying to keep them down. Now let's try laying down. You can put your arms overhead if that's more comfortable for you, but another option is to just keep your hands right near you. You're going to bring those knees up and down and trying to go a little farther, driving those knees down closer to the ground with each rep. So really trying to keep those, getting those hips to open up. You don't want to make sure you're not arching through your back or kind of rotating through your spine at all, but really just more focusing on getting those knees down and trying to feel that stretch. Let's move back to using the PVC pipe or towel, and you're going to bring your hands wide apart on that and go back and forth from the front to the back. You're going to do 5 reps. The wider your hands are, the easier it is to get it over your head. So you can always make it more narrowed, make it more challenging, or farther apart to get the range that you want. Then bring your hands so your thumbs are facing each other on the pole or at the towel, and you're going to rotate all the way around your spine. So these are like a full body rotation. You're going to do 5 on each side. So pick one side to do all 5 and then switch to do the other 5. And what you're trying to do is make the motion as smooth as possible. You want to make sure if you feel like it's getting caught, which usually happens behind your back, but trying to keep that as smooth as you can and trying to get some of that range of motion during all of the rotation. Another simple one to do is to work on trying to get your 2 hands to touch behind your back. And what you're going to do is wiggle them towards each other and then do the opposite side. And you'll see I cannot get my right hand up my back. I can come over the top, okay, but I cannot go the other way. It makes sense with what I've been feeling lately, but you can definitely even see it on video how tight I am. And I think most people do have one side that's tighter than the other, so that is normal. But now I have a new goal of trying to work on this. But you can see that as I go with each rep, I'm trying to get a little closer and a little closer. And I feel like by the end, when my right hand is on top, I can almost get the 2 hands to touch. Not so much the other way, but it does give me a goal of trying to reach and get that rotation through my shoulders, which helps with swimming or any rotational sport.
And while we have the PVC pipe, let's do some more work with it since we have it. Again, if you don't have a PVC pipe, that's fine. You can use a towel for this. Maybe I'll show you with both on this one just so you can see the variation. And then you can decide which is best for you. But what you're going to do is you're going to take the PVC pipe or, again, dowel rod or anything that you have, broomstick, and you're going to put it over your head. The reason we do this is it's locking out my lats. That helps. Your lats are the connector between your upper body and your lower body, and your lats do a lot of assistance during running, obviously during swimming, during biking. They help brace you, so they definitely need some love too, but they're that connector between that upper body and lower body. So I like to use the upper body when I'm working on the lower body because that's how it functions. So what we do is I bring my hands up over my head and my hands behind my ears, and then I'm going to put my legs straight out in front of me, and I'm going to keep my feet together if I can for this first one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit nice and tall. So some of you may already feel the stretch and feel like you can't sit up straight, but having something overhead, again, whether it's a towel or a PVC pipe, having something overhead almost forces you to have to at least get some mobility through your lower spine and your pelvis here. So feet are together, legs are straight out, and you're going to lean forward as far as you can and then come back. And again, my toes are just resting comfortably here at this point. But if I wanted to make this harder or a little more intense in the flossing and mobility world of working our soft tissues as well as our joints, I can pull my toes towards my face, and that will increase that tension. Now, if it's just too much with your hands overhead, you can put your hands down and just work on this. So play with both, but if you can, especially those triathletes out there, get those arms back behind your ears and come as far forward as you can, and then relax. So again, we're going to do 2 more reps to make 5, and then this last one. Now, similar, I'm going to open my legs. Same position. I want to try to keep my pelvis up nice and tall, elongating through the spine. I'm going to take this towel or PVC pipe, and I'm going to rotate towards my left leg and pull my left toes back towards me. So I'm going to go as far as I can and then come back. And I'm going to do this one, number 2. Again, each time I hope to get a little farther and a little farther. And then again, if it's too much, I don't have to pull my toes up. I can just keep them relaxed. But if you can, pull those toes up towards your face to intensify that. Now, as I move to the right side, I want to make sure that I want to keep those arms, that tension through my lats. So I got to make sure I turn my trunk and this right shoulder and not just like keep my arms over here and only move part of my body. I want to really make sure I'm getting that activation and that rotation through my spine and my shoulder blades and my shoulder. So same thing as I'm coming forward, keeping tension through this whole leg. And again, if it's too much with the toes back, just keep the toes relaxed. But if you can, pull them towards your face and go a little farther and a little farther with each rep to really get some mobility through the hip, through the spine, and through that whole entire leg. And since we're on the ground, let's do actually, this is probably my favorite mobility, actually. So I call this the mermaid, though some of my patients want me to call it the Poseidon because they want it to be more manly. I don't really care. I just want you doing some 90-90 work. So what you're going to do is you'll sit in the 90-90 position, or mermaid, whatever you want to call it. And the goal is to try to be able to not be shifted off to one side. So sitting as straight up as you can with both sit bones, or ischial tuberosities if you like the official term, but sit bones works really good for everybody because I think we know what that is. Getting those sit bones on the ground too. So sitting up nice and tall, letting those sit bones relax. If you do feel like you have to lean to one side, it's okay to have some yoga blocks or some books that you stack next to you to help you maintain that upright posture. So once you're here, you're going to bring your right hand up in the air. So my right leg is in front, so that's how I always start. Right arm up, and I'm going to go to one side, and I'm going to do 3 to 5 of these, trying to go a little farther and a little farther with each one. It's a little bit tight for me, but I'm definitely feeling like I can move a little bit more, especially if we've gone through some of these. I'm already feeling better. Then I'm going to put my right hand down. Again, if you needed some yoga blocks, your hand would just be up here. But I'm going to put my right hand down, bring my left hand up, and I'm going to almost arch up and over that planted right hand to try to help get some mobility through my rib cage as well as my lats, get some stretch in there. So I'm going to do 3 to 5 reps, a little farther and a little farther with each rep. And then with my legs still in this position with the right leg forward, then I'm going to come forward and try to drop my hips down so that my butt isn't coming up like that, but try to keep my butt down as I come forward with my head and bring my head to my hands. And then I can come up, and if you want from here, get everything out of your way, then you can lean back as far as you can. And then come down again. And we're going to go back and forth like this. And you want it, when you come backwards like this, you want to make sure that your knee's not coming up, that you can try to keep that knee, both knees down, and come back as far as you can. And hopefully, as you're doing your 3 to 5 reps, you feel like you could get almost down to your elbows. Some people can get, excuse me, get all the way down to their back. I don't think I can do that. My microphone just fell off. So coming all the way forward and all the way back. So now let's switch to the left side. And we're going to do the same thing. So that 90-90, up nice and tall. I can definitely feel a little bit of a different pull on this right hip compared to when it's back here than when it was on the front. So I'm going to, since my left leg is in front, I'm going to bring my left arm up, and I'm going to go as far as I can, come back up a little farther, really getting some movement through my trunk. Good job. I love this one. I hope you do too. And then that last one, we're going to try to go even farther. Now, some people feel like they have to hold on to their leg. Totally fine. Whatever you have to do to get through this. So left hand goes down, right arm comes up. And now let's go to this right side and back up. It's so amazing to me, this connection between the shoulders and the hips. And, you know, I think a lot of, specifically runners, don't pay enough attention to their shoulders and how much good shoulder mobility, good shoulder strength, good lat strength can really help improve their running, because the upper body can help the lower body. So I could do a whole video series on that probably, but just something to think about if you're focusing on improving your running. One of the best ways to do that, besides strength training, is working on your shoulder mobility and strength. So again, I'm going to come down as far as I can. If you want to rest your hands down, you can. And then you're going to lean backwards. Go back as far as you can, making sure you're keeping the knees down. Again, not letting those come up. And we're going to go down again. After I had kids, I definitely was super tight through my hips, especially as I was trying to get back into running. But I think the more mobility I've been doing, the better that's gotten. And I mean, us females, we do deal with other complications after having kids, like pelvic floor strength. So I do think that pelvic floor strength and stability is directly correlated to hip mobility. So probably a whole other video series. Actually, I have a really smart women's health therapist named Maureen. I bet her and I could do a whole series on that. It's actually pretty fascinating on that connection. So making sure that this hip mobility, especially for you moms, whether your kid is 22 or 2 months, making sure you're getting some hip mobility care to help that pelvis be in an optimal position to let those muscles really be able to maximize on their strength. And now I'm going to go back to a similar position when we were using the towel and the PVC pipe with that leg straight out. This one is for more your shoulder blade, shoulder, rib area. You're going to grab hold of your toes and try to grab, you don't have to come all the way down your foot, but I'd rather you're just grabbing onto your toes. Now, if you can't get there, that's a little too tight, go ahead and bend that knee up and grab your toes. Totally fine. But once you're in this position, you're going to keep your arm straight, your fingers are wrapped around those toes, and you're going to point your toes down and almost keep your butt back. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel some really good traction through that shoulder blade, and then you'll relax your toes. So all I'm really moving here are my toes, and it's tractioning my arm for me. So really working on that shoulder blade mobility or scapular mobility on the rib cage, which is very, very important to be able to hold yourself in a position like this, that shoulder blade can move. It's also very important when your hand is entering the water, if you're a swimmer, to be able to make sure you have that extra or that control through that shoulder blade, so you're not having to let that arm pop out or that elbow pop out, that you're having good connection through that whole arm, because this acts as your stability point as your hand is entering that water, so that the rest of you can pivot over that. So making sure you have good control through that shoulder blade is really important. So, and making sure that shoulder blade can move on those ribs is really important as well. I think we tend to sit, at our desk or on our phone, and those shoulders tend to roll out. So really making sure we're able to get that motion where they need to be. So now let's do the other side. Same thing. You're going to grab a hold of your toes with that right hand and just let it keep that arm straight. And again, try not to slouch. Try to stay up as tall as you can and let those toes traction you down and then back. So all I'm moving really again is my toes. I'm going to go a little farther and a little farther with each one. And again, the more I seem to like almost to sit back into it a little bit, again, still making sure I'm coming up through my spine, but letting my low back relax, I can really get a stretch. And I'm even feeling it a little bit under my hand too. So just getting that fascial tissue to stretch alongside that feels really, really good and really tells me how tight I am through this right side, which I'm finding out with all these things that I'm showing you guys, just how tight I am. So thanks for going on the mobility journey with me today. I'm also going to be doing one on how mobility and stability work together, so showing you some good mobility stability exercises for hips, shoulders, thoracic spine. And then I'm also doing one on a warm-up. So what you can do when you're standing in front of your bike or you're on a trail or at the poolside, about a 15-minute mobility warm-up that you can do before you exercise. So thanks.